Bonaduce, life coach. Danny Bonaduce, life coach.
All right, Rick Jones in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with Steve in Covington. I'm overly excited this morning. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Danny.
What's up, buddy?
Okay, here's kind of a nutshell. It's a long story, but I met Becky, and I was living out of state, and we hooked up just before she inherited almost $2 million. We spent 5 years, thought we were retired, blew through the money. Everything was in her name. She wanted to prove, basically, that I was only with her for the money, so it just went away. Harleys and condos, and then a house, and after 5 years, we had just barely enough we had about $250,000 left, came back to Seattle, bought a house, still got the bikes, but I put my foot down and said, I'm now taking over control of the finances, and everything will be in both of our names. So the house, the bikes, everything is in both of our names. Now, 10 years has gone by. We've both been working together, the different jobs to cover the bills and everything, and we've kept our head above water. But the discussion about divorce has come up, and I'm her fourth husband, and she has told me straight up that if I try to leave her, that I will walk away, not just with nothing, but that she will take my Social Security number and my mother's maiden name.
All right, so is that your question for Rick Jones and Goldberg Jones, Steve? If you get a divorce, after all this, with the million, spend it, houses, condos, bikes, if you get a divorce, what will you walk away with? Is that your question for Rick Jones?
Yeah, is there a number of years that you're together and then you have to split everything, or is it, she keeps saying it because she can prove that she paid for everything, that I walk away with nothing?
All right, there's the question. Let's make it easy. Does he walk away with nothing?
Well, what Steve is highlighting is the categorization, two different types of being able to describe property. One is community property that we've all heard about, which is things that you acquire during marriage with community funds, like income and things like that. There's also what's called separate property, which is items you either came into the marriage with already, free and clear, or that you received by some sort of exception to the community property rules. And frankly, inheritance is one big exception to that. When her parents or whomever passed away, when they devised this money to her, they were trying to give it to her, not to him, or any of the three prior husbands, right?
Right, sure.
So the day that came in, that was her separate property, and Steve really didn't have any claim to it whatsoever.
Okay.
Now, what happens is you put it into a flow, just like a river, and then you buy things, you put it into accounts, you upgrade a house, you pay mortgage bills with it, and all of a sudden that line starts blurring a little bit, and the question is whether or not she has co-mingled those funds. And if so, then the line is blurred, like I said, and he might have an inroad to claim some level of community
Doesn't
property.
Steve have a good case then for money not mine? She inherited, just like you said. But she bought a house for us to live in together with. Doesn't that house become that kind? Doesn't he have a decent case for saying that's half my house?
You know, there's always going to be two sides of that case.
Of course.
So on his side, yeah, that's exactly what he's going to say. But on her side, she's going to say, well, let's take a look for a second. Why should he have been the unwitting beneficiary? Because the fact is, he got free rent during all this time off of her money.
Okay,
right?
Now let me just ask you, and I think we've answered this. After 10 years of marriage, what are the odds he walks away with absolutely nothing?
Oh, very small.
Very small. He's going to go away with something on that.
Yeah, I mean, the courts are going to look at the financial position between the two of them, and 10 years, again, is a pretty significant amount of time, probably the longest she's ever been with.
Sure.
Any of the plethora, right?
Right. All right, so no, let me Rick Jones answer your question the way I thought it would be. It was a little more harsh than I thought it was going to be honest with you, but you're not walking away empty-handed, my friend, and that's words to live by. Thanks, Steve.
Danny Bonaduce, life coach. Danny Bonaduce, life coach.